This is a dead man switch, an effective and easy to build Tesla coil trap that will become your last line of defense against an online raid. The following is a dramatization. No loot was lost during the making of this film. Before we get into the build, there are a few things you should know about this circuit. It is not designed for offline raids, nor is it designed to be active when you leave your base. That's because, while active, the heartbeat, breathing, humidity, and footstep sensor, HBHF for short, checks for an authorized player. If an authorized player is found, the circuit remains dormant. If an authorized player leaves the range of the HBHF sensor, disconnects from the game, or dies, the circuit is activated. Furthermore, while Tesla coils are active, they are also slowly taking damage. Therefore, the circuit must remain switched off under normal circumstances and switched on only at the moment of need. Be sure to stick around until the end of the video for some tips on hiding the trap components and making the trap more effective. But for now, let's get right into the build. For simplicity's sake, let's demonstrate the circuit on a nice clean wall. Afterwards, we'll take a closer look at how the components work together to create the dead man switch. You will need the following items: a wire tool, a switch, an HBHF sensor, a branch, a blocker, a splitter, some Tesla coils, and a source of power. A medium battery or higher capacity power source works best. For this demonstration, I will be using a medium rechargeable battery which will supply 50 power. This is the switch. The power out of the battery will be connected to the electric input of the switch. This is the branch. The output of the switch is fed into the power in of the branch. This is the HBHF sensor. The branch out of the branch is connected to the power in of the HBHF sensor. This is the blocker. The power out of the HBHF sensor is connected to the block pass-through of the blocker. The power out of the branch is connected to the power in of the blocker. Block pass-through is essentially a switch that blocks the power out of the blocker. When block pass-through receives any amount of power, the power out is blocked. This is the splitter. The power out of the blocker is connected to the power in of the splitter. These are the Tesla coils. Power out 1, 2, and 3 of the splitter are connected to the power in of the 3 Tesla coils. But we won't make those connections just yet. The placement of the components is now complete. Before going further, make sure you are authorized on the tool cupboard. The HBHF sensor can be configured to operate on a set of conditionals. Those conditionals are include authorized, exclude authorized, include others, exclude others. In order to set the proper conditionals of the HBHF sensor, the switch must be powered on. By leaving the Tesla coils unconnected at this time, we remove the possibility of accidental electrocution by the circuit. Hover over the HBHF sensor. You will see either a plus sign and the text include authorized, or an X and the text exclude authorized. You can cycle between these two options by tapping the E key. The option to include or exclude others is not available from here. While still hovering over the HBHF sensor, press and hold the E key. This opens a large red and white circular interface. From here, you can change the state of both the authorized condition and the others condition by moving your mouse to one half of the circle or the other and left-clicking. To avoid confusion when setting up the HBHF sensor, it's helpful to consider the text of the HBHF sensor interface as a question and not a statement of the current configuration. In this example, authorized players are excluded, and the interface is giving us the option of including them. Read this as a question. Include authorized? If I left-click now, authorized players are included, and I am now given the option to exclude them. To the uninitiated, this may appear to be the opposite of what is expected. For this circuit to work as intended, we need to set the HBHF sensor to include authorized and to exclude others. With the HBHF sensor set to include authorized and the power out of the HBHF sensor connected to the block pass-through of the blocker will not send power through its power out when an authorized player is in range of the HBHF sensor. Set up this way, these two components work together to block power from flowing through the rest of the circuit when an authorized player is in range. With the HBHF sensor set to exclude others, unauthorized players, or others, will have no effect on the blockage of power out of the blocker. Again, it is only when an authorized player leaves the range of the HBHF sensor, disconnects from the game, or dies that the circuit is completed. Once the raider kills you, the dead man switch is activated, and the circuit will continue to operate until the power goes out, or the Tesla coils burn up, or the switch is turned to the off position. Let's complete the circuit now by connecting the Tesla coils to the splitter's 3 power outputs. At this point, you will have a working dead man switch. Remember to leave the switch in the off position until it's needed. Stick around for a more thorough investigation of the switch, branch, splitter, and Tesla coils, as well as tips on hiding your trap and making it more effective. If by this point you've decided that you like this video, please consider taking a moment to click the thumbs up button. Let's take a closer look at each of the components in this circuit, starting with the switch. Like any other binary switch, it has an off and an on position. It has an electric input and an output. The switch consumes 1 power to operate. It is receiving 50 power, and it has 49 power available to the output. The branch has a power in and 2 outputs, named branch out and power out. If you mouse over the branch, you will see a prompt to configure the branch. Press E to configure. Here you have the option to set the amount of power to branch out. Any power not allocated to the branch out will be sent to the power out of the branch. Since this branch is receiving 49 power, and since a branch requires 1 power to operate, there is 48 power available to be divided between the 2 outputs. The only restriction is that the branch out cannot be set to output less than 2 power. By default, the branch is set to branch out 2 power, and the remainder, in this case 46 power, is sent to the power out. The HBHF sensor also requires 1 power to operate and will output no more than 1 power. No matter how much power you input to the HBHF sensor, it will only output 1 power. Since our HBHF sensor receives 2 power from the branch, it has 1 power to operate on and 1 power to send to the block pass-through of the blocker. Block pass-through works no matter how much or how little power it receives. This makes the 1 power coming from the HBHF sensor perfect for our needs. The blocker also consumes 1 power to operate. This 1 power is taken from the power it receives through its power input. The remaining 45 power available to the blocker's power out is sent to the splitter. The splitter divides the power it receives equally among however many outputs are used. If you use one output, all available power is used by that one output. If you use two outputs, the available power is divided equally between those two outputs. If you use all three, the available power is divided equally among those three outputs. The splitter, like the branch, HBHF, and the blocker, also consumes one power to operate. This leaves us with 44 power to be divided among the three outputs. Therefore, each Tesla coil will receive 14 power. With a properly set up room, this trap can kill a player in 5 seconds. Let's build the trap in a more likely in-game environment. Whether your base is large or small, the dead man switch works best in an area of limited space. The larger the area, the more Tesla coils you will need. I recommend a 3x1. This could be your entire base or a small part of a larger base. As you can see, we have some boxes, a furnace, a workbench, a battery, a fully operational dead man switch? But where are the Tesla coils? I'll just turn it on and deauthorize myself and... A furnace, a workbench, and a bearskin rug are just 3 of the objects that you can use to hide the Tesla coils. If your 3x1 area is your entire base, you can use the wall beyond the tool cupboard to hide the rest of the components and provide the cover you need to force the raider in further from the door. A valid argument can be made for enclosing your TC in a more secure 1x1, but keep in mind that this trap is for when all else fails and you have no weapons. It's literally your last line of defense. If this doesn't work, your TC is gone anyway. However, if your base is large enough and your TC is secured in another area, the fridge provides even more cover than a TC. You're being raided and you lost all your kits defending. What do? After you turn on the switch, you will hide as best you can near the HBHF sensor, forcing the raider in deeper in order to get you in line of sight. It is only at this moment that the HBHF sensor becomes visible. Remember, the trap will activate if you die. Whether or not the HBHF sensor detects the raider is irrelevant. Although it is unlikely, a quick-witted raider could be alert enough to turn off the switch before he dies. To counter this, place it near the floor or in the corner beyond the splitter. Anything to make it less noticeable. Better yet, use a smart switch. The smart switch will cost you 3 high-quality metal and 1 tech trash to make, so keep that in mind. The advantage is that smart switches are usable only by authorized players. The branch and the blocker can both be placed on the wall behind a workbench, making them harder to notice. The blue color of the drill on this workbench level 2 helps camouflage the blocker. While they aren't completely hidden, they are much less noticeable than if they were placed on the wall. A Tesla coil has the range of 1 square foundation and does 1 damage per second per power run through it. A single Tesla coil operating on 14 power will do 14 damage per second and will take about 7 seconds to kill a player. 2 overlapping Tesla coils running on 14 power each will kill a player in about 3.5 seconds. We could stack all 3 Tesla coils in the same place and kill a player even faster, but since we don't want him to run out of range, we'll need to spread the coils out so they cover the entire area. Since the raider is likely to be on the center foundation when he kills you, we will place 1 coil on the borderline of the back and center wall. Another in the center square, and 1 near or over the door. This will provide overlapping coverage throughout most of the room. As you saw when I turned on the switch and deauthorized myself, this should be enough to kill a raider before he escapes. Place a bag in line of sight of the HBHF sensors so that the circuit shuts off when you res. Given enough power, a Tesla coil will stop a player from jumping. Place boxes in such a way that you have to jump over them to get out. Switch to a large rechargeable battery for even more stopping power. If this is a room inside a larger base and your TC is secured elsewhere, use a code lock on the door and leave it unlocked. The green light will make a raider confident that he isn't running into a door lock trap. Add a door controller to the trap to lock the raider in. Check out Dirt Rider 479 and his one-way door video. Link in the description. Speaking of Dirt Rider,
Alright.
if you know anyone that builds trap bases, drop them a link.
Let's build a trap base.
Oh, let's go. Let's actually go. What the hell?
This Deadman switch can most certainly be modified from a raid defense circuit to a trap base. Dirt Rider 479, Mimeo,
I challenge you
to turn this raid defense circuit into a trap base. Timestamps have been added in the description so that you can easily review any part of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to be notified of future content, tick the notification bell. Thanks for watching.